What's going on, guys? Today we are going to break down how electronic humidors work. You know, your Wineadors, all your electronic coolers and regular wine coolers, all that stuff uses the same exact process, and we'll get into it. Alright, so like I said, Wineadors, humidors, where we keep our cigars, it's an option that you can purchase. There's a million brands out there. We're not going to get into any of the brands or anything like that. We're just going to strictly talk about how exactly they work as a unit and keep all brands and everything out of the loop. I have my recommendations. You guys can ask, but that might be for another video. So anyway, what exactly is it? So obviously it is a wine cooler that people have converted, either the wine cooler itself, or if you buy an actual Wineador or a humidor, as the cigar people call it, these companies make them specifically for cigars, but the unit itself is a Wineador or a wine cooler. We use it as a Wineador, but so the wine coolers, it's basically a mini fridge, okay? And the difference between a mini fridge and a wine cooler is strictly the fact that it doesn't have refrigeration in it. So it uses a thermoelectric cooler, which is an electronic part. We'll get into the breakdown of what that part actually does and how it works, but basically you have like your actual refrigerator you store your food in. That works on refrigeration. There's a lot of moving parts in there, and this is basically a solid state device that is electrically powered, that has a hot side and a cool side, and you get your cooling effect inside the humidor. So that's your basic rundown. Your refrigerator runs the same as the air conditioning on your house. Why am I even making this video? I'm R410A certified, EPA certified. I'm a refrigeration tech. I've been doing that for a million years. I have all my licenses for that, and well versed in the refrigeration aspect of this and thermoelectric coolers, all the same category. So that's why. Anyway, so your house runs on, it's all mechanical. There's a million moving parts that go behind it. It's very expensive. If you guys ever had to replace a refrigerator or, you know, your compressor or anything like that on your home air conditioning unit, you know, it's very expensive because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot that goes into that. But moving over to the thermoelectric side, which is your wine coolers and obviously the humidors that we're speaking about today, they use a thermoelectric cooler that runs on something called the Peltier effect. Okay, basically what that is, it's a little box and it has two wires coming out of it. The wiring is run in series, and inside this little box it has thermal coolers inside of it, and they're run in parallel. So it's positive, negative, all the way across into the little box. Most of these boxes are like 3-inch by 3-inch. They can go much bigger, obviously, but the ones for our purposes, usually about 3-inch by 3-inch. Some of them are 4-inch by 4-inch. Whatever, you get the idea. So inside, obviously, your house runs on AC power, so there's a converter inside the box that converts it to DC power, puts DC power through series, okay? So you have series and parallel, the way electricity works. It runs through its series, and the thermoelectric coolers inside are running parallel. That creates the Peltier effect. So one side of the device is cold, and one side of it gets hot. You have the heat sink on the back side. That's ambient temperature or room temperature. That's what you could physically see from the back side of the humidor, you know, the big refrigerated humidors. And on the inside, most likely you can't see it. It's probably covered by a fan of some sort or the metal casing of the unit. That's the cold side to put the cooling effect inside the humidor. And obviously there's a fan that circulates it around. You guys know from there. So without getting too crazy technical, I know these processes get very crazy and technical. That's trying to break it down a little bit for the average person to understand it. You know, on the flip side of that, the heat side has the heat sink built into it. Sometimes it has a fan that pushes the fan out. Sometimes it doesn't. It uses the ambient temperature of the room. Ambient temperature just basically means room temperature or whatever it is because you can't call it room temperature because every room temperature is different. So it's the ambient temperature of the room that the device is in. Why do they use this process, and why not just use refrigeration, normal refrigerator, normal refrigeration technology? Well, for one, the unit itself would be heavy as hell. If you guys have ever actually used a mini fridge, they get fairly heavy, fairly bulky. There's a lot of moving parts inside of them, like I stated earlier, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive. Now, with those, you obviously have refrigerant inside of them, and a lot of that has been phased out through the years, the different types of Freon and whatnot. You know, trying to save the environment. They're trying to cut down on Freon-based items. Even in your car, you know, it used to be R12, now it's 134A, which is a lot safer in your vehicles. So that's basically, in an event of an accident, the 134A is safer than like R22 that you use in your house, or the old stuff, the R12 that used to be in the older cars. So yeah, that stuff vents out, whatever. A little off topic. If you want to get into that, I can make another video strictly based on Freon type appliances. So anyway, that's your like passive systems, your passive temp controls, and you have the active ones, which is the humidors that we're purchasing for cigars. Most of these units, again, we're not getting into brand specific or anything like that, but the general purpose of these units is to keep your relative humidity between 65 and 72. For us cigar smokers, you know, we're anywhere from like 67 to 69, even 70. Everybody has their preference. Everybody has their preferred relative humidity that they like. So we're not getting into that either. And the overall temperature from the cooling effect that we just discussed, 54 to 72 degrees. So that's a little warm at the top end of it, but you can hit that. Again, these are purpose for actually wine cooling. You know, so 54 degrees is where you would want to be at. You don't want to quite be down to like 30 or anything like that. Again, a little off topic, but relative to what we're talking about. So where does this fall in line with us? So obviously we have a sealed box with a door on it, and it's all metal on the inside. Usually they have glass doors so you can see inside of them. None of that actually absorbs liquid. So they line them. They'll either line it with Spanish cedar, or they'll have Spanish cedar shelves inside of it, which is how majority of them come. Why Spanish cedar? That just is the best wood that absorbs water or absorbs moisture. It holds it in, and it's just what we need to protect our cigars and keep our cigars humid and soft so that they don't dry out. The oils don't dry out of the cigar, so we still have flavorful sticks to enjoy. As far as the cigar side is related to us, obviously, we want to stay below 68 degrees. That's the goal, because you have something called tobacco beetles that will form in your humidors if it's above 72 degrees. That's usually like the danger zone, but the beetles don't actually hatch until about 77 degrees, which if you're keeping it anywhere near there, your cigars are probably mostly dried out and hard as a rock at that point. So the sweet spot is below 68. I prefer to keep mine around 65 to 67, the highest, but usually I'm dead stuck on 66 all the time. Again, these are just preferences. Everybody has it, and you do what works for you. You don't have to worry about the tobacco beetles until you're over 77 degrees. They say the danger zone is 72 to 77, but you know, on occasion your humidor goes up and down in humidity and temperature. The idea is to have this humidor electronically controlled so that your temperature doesn't fluctuate, and you can at least control one variable in it. Relative humidity is harder to control because you need either the silica beads or, you know, again, I don't want to get into brands, but, you know, the little packs that you can put in there that come when you order cigars. They also have actual humidification devices. Again, I don't want to get brands involved in this specific talk. We can do other videos. Comment down below if you guys want to know about brands in particular that I prefer or have used. We can do that, but not in this video. Basically, we talked about all the benefits of the Peltier effect, the thermal cooling, why humidors are the way they are. There are some brands out there that have a heated feature. So basically this works the exact same as I explained earlier. They just reverse the electric flow to the device, the thermal cooling device, and that's how you bring heat into it. Me personally, I don't have that type of device. I don't really recommend that. The only good thing about that is, again, some people are like, why would you apply heat into your cigars and, all that stuff. But, if you're in a colder climate, a typically colder climate, you will need that. And it also is not like putting a heater in and blowing that hot, low humidity air into your humidor, which would drop it down, your overall relative humidity, drop it down, and dry out your cigars. You obviously don't want that. This effect, the thermocooler effect, okay, the Peltier effect, does it without changing your relative humidity. So it might do it slightly, maybe less than 0.25%, but there's something that you need to do. If you just stuck your cigars into a refrigerator, or if you put your hydrometer in there, in your regular refrigerator, you would see you would have extremely low humidity in there. And that's because you want it to be cold to protect your food. You want your food to be cold so the humidity in your refrigerator is low. So if it's high, obviously it's not on. The refrigerator is not on. So that's not good, But temperature and humidity work hand in hand. You can't have something that's 100 degrees and expect it to be 70 relative humidity. It's not going to work that way. It has to go hand in hand. So if you guys are having trouble working on your humidor, getting your humidor set at the right levels, okay, you need to first soak the cedar and all that stuff. Again, we can do a starting a humidor video. If you guys want, comment down below. We can get into that. But that's a whole process in and of itself. Again, we can break it down, but this is for electronic humidors. Once you get that thing going, it is stable, period. With the exception of you opening up the door and leaving it open for 20 minutes until you decide the cigar you want to smoke. I don't know, but you open it up, you know what's in there. You don't have to look around. It's not like you're in the middle of the night and you open up the refrigerator and you're trying to decide what your fat ass wants to eat. We've all been there. We've all been there, all right? And if you haven't, you're lying, okay? So that's the idea behind it. It's definitely an upgrade to the regular humidor box with nothing electronic associated to it. I know there's a lot of old school guys that are like, oh, I don't want to get into that. I didn't either. It took me a while to want to get into that and explore that technology. And once I did eventually purchase one. And that's where I keep my sticks in now. I still have my boxes, my glass jars, all that fancy stuff. I still have all that stuff, and they're still loaded with cigars. I do enjoy them, and I will continue to use them. I have a lot of cigars, so I have to keep multiple sources of humidors available. I'm not going out and buying a 6-foot tall one yet. Eventually, when I come to that point, I can start to get rid of the smaller boxes. And when I upgrade to a larger humidor, electronic humidor, we're just going to call them electronic humidors. Eventually, when I upgrade to that, I can move everything over and keep everything in one central location. And that's fine. That's basically the basics of how the thermoelectric coolers work. Or actually, the electric humidors, I should say. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, comment down below. Check out our Instagram page. Feel free to private message us if you guys have any other questions. Check out our other videos. We have a ton of cigar-related content. Go check those out. And amongst all the other content we have available as well. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this video. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so. We have new content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Take care.